Ashe, God folks. This is Queen Bree coming at you with another one. Hopefully you are doing good and taking care of yourself and doing you in the most bona fide way that you know how. So in this upload, I wanted to talk about being discarded or feelings of being discarded in a relationship, or feeling like you're not being heard in your relationship. So when it comes to relationships and any and all relationships, whether that be professional, whether that be platonic, whether, it's something like a friendship, whether that be business, or whether it be romantic relationships, I always felt as though, communication was one of the biggest factors in relationships. And, the main thing to sustain a relationship, to keep a relationship strong, communication, but proper communication. When it comes to communication, it's a two-way thing. The individual, someone is speaking, and they're speaking to be heard and understood. And then there's the listener who is patient, and they're listening to understand and comprehend what the speaker is saying. And it's very important to achieve the goal of effective communication, right? So, in a relationship, expressing your needs, expressing your wants, your desires, your requirements is absolutely important. And for the best of us that, depend on communication and use communication as a means to express ourselves and to articulate our needs, wants, desires, all of the above, that have great communication skills. It's a good thing when you are a great communicator, but what do you do in your relationship when you're a great communicator, but your partner isn't? What do you do when you first and foremost feel like you're not being heard in an attempt to communicate? So you've already tried to communicate with your partner about the things that are bothering you, your needs, wants, desires, your requirements, whatever situations or challenges that you may be having in your relationships, the things that may be bothering you, the things that you don't like, the less favorable things that may rise or come up in relationships, because relationships are not perfect, and there will be challenges. But again, you're being met with silence, or you're being met with someone that is not hearing you, and even worse, someone that is emotionally unavailable, because that's a big one in some relationships. That's one of the bigger problems that lead to separation, is a partner who is emotionally unavailable. So what do you do at that time? If someone asked me what I think an individual should do, after you've exhausted all means of trying to revive the relationship, to sustain the relationship, and to retain the relationship, if you're not being heard, I would say that it's time for you to pump the brakes, to step back, and to reevaluate what's good for you. What do you want outside of your relationship? What are your desires? What are your needs? If your needs are not being met in your relationship, depending on what those needs mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that you need to go out and hunt for a rebound or somebody that's going to fill a void, especially, when we're considering that those issues that you may have. Could be a void of being abandoned, or feeling lonely, or feeling rejected, feeling sad. All of the negative emotions that may arise from feeling rejected or feeling unheard and unseen in your relationship, going to get a rebound, or getting someone to occupy, that time and space, and the things that you feel as though you are lacking, or the things that you need, is not always the best option. I'm not saying, don't do that. I think that individuals should do what makes them happy, but I don't think that going to get a rebound and getting physically intimate with them is a smart choice. And I'm only saying that because that's common in human beings. Human beings tend to want to go find someone to fill a certain type of void. And I think it's really naturally a part of human behavior, but I don't think that there are certain behaviors and boundaries that should be crossed, because that's just a recipe for destruction and more hurt, and a wound being injured even more. But I wholeheartedly believe that if you're not getting something in your relationship, that you should take time to get quiet with yourself, and it's time for introspection at that point. What is it that you feel that you are lacking in your relationship? And what are the things that you're feeling that needs to be addressed, that needs to be overcome? What is it that you're looking for outside of yourself that you're not getting, that you already have, but you're not digging deep within yourself to pull out of yourself, to give yourself, pretty much in a way of self-sufficiency. Because sometimes when we're looking for certain things in certain individuals, unfortunately, sometimes they don't have the capacity, or they're not able to give that to us, even in partnerships or in relationship. And, I'm specifically speaking about romantic relationships. And the fact of the matter is, sometimes it might be, good and pretty in the beginning. And sometimes your partner may be able to make it seem as though they can give you those things that those things that you require, the things that you need. But sometimes people's feelings change, and their feelings are allowed to change. People change, and sometimes their interests change. So, introspecting and, loving on yourself a little bit more, and, valuing yourself a little bit more is going to help you stay erect and upright, and healthy, and stepping up and stepping out in your confidence. Because sometimes when you're looking for validation, especially from someone that you have put on a pedestal, or someone who is significant to you, or someone that you have love for, when you have certain expectations from an individual and you're not receiving those expectations, or you're giving something in a certain type of relationship or connection and it's not being reciprocated, that is the time for you to pump your brakes and for you to withdraw, and really to protect your feelings and emotions. So, if you are feeling as though you're not being seen or heard in your relationship, then, self-love is what's going to sustain you, and what's going to get you over that hurt, or that hump, or that challenge, that hurdle, the things that, the negative things that you might be feeling, and your negative feelings and experiences from that relationship. Pretty much loving on yourself a little bit more is what's going to help you overcome those negative feelings and emotions. Because you don't want to continue to try to communicate with an individual who refuses to see you or refuses to hear you. A lot of times individuals, they hear you and they see you, but depending on where they're at in their lives or their conscience, that's going to dictate how they respond to you. And if they are no longer open to you, then as hard as it may be for some individuals, and as hard and as much as it may hurt, sometimes you just have to let situations be what it is, let people be who they are, and to just, kind of, withdraw and walk away from a situation and love yourself more. Love yourself more than you love that individual. Because at that point, it's called like self-sabotage, or you're abandoning self, which, creates emotional imbalances, mental imbalances, and, self-sabotage, where once again, you're abandoning self. So sometimes we have to really stop and get quiet and go deep within ourselves to pull that love out. And sometimes it's love that's there that you really didn't know that you had. But, putting yourself first and prioritizing yourself, really loving yourself first and foremost before, going out to try to find love from someone else. Because when an individual is unavailable and you have certain expectations from individuals that they cannot meet, it is one of the greatest disappointments. So, it comes a time when you have to drop the expectations of individuals and just let them be who they are, because people are people, and we have to give them the space to be who they are, and do the things that they want to do and the things that make them happy with the people that they want to do those things with. And as I said, sometimes it may hurt. Sometimes it may be difficult, but it's life, and you learn, you live and you learn, and then you run into cool people and dope individuals and people that, may be able to meet your needs or expectations. Life goes on, and only the strong survive. So you stand tall and remain erect and stand 10 toes down in your self-love. That self-love is going to get you so far. It's going to take you so far. And be intentional about attracting, not chasing, but attracting individuals that's going to love and respect you and see you and reciprocate all of those beautiful, loving aspects of yourself, those that make you feel safe to express those loving, beautiful aspects of yourself. Because some people might see you one way and other people might see you another way. It just really depends. If you're anything like me, the way that I express my love with some people doesn't necessarily mean that I express my love with all. I don't. I treat people accordingly, because everybody have different energy. All of my interactions are different. So I might love my significant other or my partner one way, and God knows I'm not going to love them the same way that I love my family. But I'm also not going to express the love that I have for my significant other or my partner in friendship or in an association or in business. So yeah, you go through life and you run into people, and you meet people that make it easy for you to be yourself authentically, whether that's your divine masculine or your divine feminine, and you can express the ways that you love with them safely, and it just feels natural and you just flow. And then you're just like, the way that I felt in that relationship, or, that thing of the past, it hurt then, but it's really a thing of the past, and it's long gone, and this really makes me feel good. And not going and chasing a rebound, but attracting, just being with yourself and being in your authentic energy and attracting, those individuals that resonate with you and make it easy for you to be yourself be yourself in these relationships is truly a blessing. So sometimes it might feel hard, especially if you're feeling lonely and things, but let self-love be, your guidance. Let self-love be the things that get you through these hurdles and challenges and get you to the next level in love. So yeah, speaking of love, God is love. And if you can't take God with you, don't go. Ashe.